And welcome into Poke the Bear, episode 123. That is Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. Conor, how you doing?
Evan, I'm doing well. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. We're recording this the day before Thanksgiving. We're recording this on Wednesday afternoon. So again, the Panthers game has yet to happen. I know twice in 1 week, not what we want, but it is the week of Thanksgiving. So, you know, I guess you guys know at this point, this is how we do it every year. We do it prior to, and we'll get into things that we're thankful for at the end of today's episode. But the big thing with the Bruins, doesn't matter the game, Patrice Bergeron hit 1,000 points. Patrice Bergeron hit 1,000 points. And Conor, I couldn't help myself when the way he got his 1,000 point. Again, it was people kind of realized it after it took a second to realize, like, oh, he just got the 1,000 point. It wasn't a goal or anything like that. And all I could think of was like, what if the NHL, after the Bruins had all come onto the ice, the NHL was like, actually, it's not a point.
I feel like that'd be like the one guy watching from Toronto who'd be like, I looked at it, and actually, if you take a close look, and I feel like another guy with like a clipper would like hit him in the head, be like, no,
shut up.
No, yeah, fine, we'll overlook it. We'll be like the cop in the town where he looks and
yes. Well, I was gonna say even if that I don't know. I mean, technically it was a point, but if somehow it wasn't a point, I still feel like you got to give it to him. You can't go back on that.
Ice. No, absolutely.
No. It's like, remember last year? I don't know if you remember this. Minnesota State in college hockey scored an overtime goal, and then 45 minutes later they realized it was offsides or it shouldn't have counted. So they brought the teams back on the ice after the fans had already left and celebrated. So not as bad as that, but still wouldn't have been great. But 1,000 points though, Conor, that's a freaking huge thing. Again, I feel, and this is why, like, even when it happened, I feel like we've said everything that could possibly be said about Patrice Bergeron, and his greatness, and that he's a legend and everything. I mean, is there anything new that could come from this?
I mean, I think further validates. I think Jim Montgomery probably said it best after the game that he's a guy that if he didn't, if he decided to cheat and play, more offensively, he probably would have 1,300 points by now. It's just a testament to him of how committed he is to both ends of the ice that, other guys that have maybe surpassed him or got there before him. But to be a guy that's that stout defensively, that always seems to make the right plays, the right reads, and to then hit 1,000 points on top of it, be that consistent of a player, it shows you just what a special talent he is. And it's almost fitting that, I'm sure the Bruins would have liked his 1,000 point to be a goal, a shot from the bumper or something like that. But for him to have a play where it's, doing the little things that lead to a goal, he takes the puck, weaves through the neutral zone, gets past Kucherov, then goes right to the net and takes 6'6" Victor Hedman with him, clears him kind of out of that space for Marsh, and eventually scores. Again, things that maybe sometimes don't reflect on the stat sheet if, let's say, he ended up not getting a secondary assist on it, but it's those little plays that lead to those grade A chances, those plays that lead to, scoring chins down the other end of the ice, getting broken up and stuff like that. It's just a testament to a guy that impacts the game in just about every single way, both on the ice, off the ice. Obviously, the Bruins have talked time and time again about how influential he is in terms of being a leader, setting an example, cultivating the culture in the room. And to, at his age, 37, still playing at this level, it's impressive. I mean, you look at what, like, the various things that have led to the Bruins, 17-2-0 start this year, could be 18-2, based on how tonight's game goes. But regardless, a very good start. His impact has, been felt throughout this, whether it's the team, buying into the urgency that comes with him coming back this year. But it's not just he's like this intangible narrative in terms of that last year, and they're kind of rallying around the old grizzled captain. Like, he's leading by example too. He's been playing at an extremely high level as well.
Yeah, and I think Claude Julien honestly said it best. He said, he has 1,000 points at one end, but he could easily have, if you added it all up, prevented 1,000 points at the other. And again, I look at Bergeron, and I mean, it's just, what else can be said? I mean, he's a legend. There's just so much you can say there. And it's incredible. I mean, again, to think, and also, I mean, you also consider how his career almost ended. I think a lot of people kind of forget that. I'm sitting in the dark here. I don't know if you're watching on video, but the sun, the way it's coming through the window, I look like
it's like Bane or something like that. But
yeah, I got to move my chair. I got to move my table so I'm more in the sunlight. There we go. I think that's
there
good.
You go.
But I mean, again, when you think about how his career almost ended with the Randy Jones hit in 2008, and like again, I go back to that and I look at kind of how he's ever since and the player that he's become, and also, I mean, you even look at like to continue to produce it at this age, at the level he's doing it at, which leads me to this next point. Does this look like a guy in his last season? Because it doesn't to me, but I mean, again, and I think it goes back to, throughout the offseason, the question was never, oh, can he continue to be good? Right? Like that was never the question. The real question is, does he really want to go through all of this all over again? And I think that's going to be the question again next offseason. But the production is there. The defensive play is there. Everything is good. I mean, what did he have? An 85% 5-on-5 goals for share I saw on Twitter.
Yeah. I think expected goals. Yeah.
Expected goals in that game against Tampa. I mean, I don't know if we want to make like full predictions here, but just doesn't look like a guy in his last season to you too either.
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of just the production on the ice, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of, I think his decision in terms of coming back for another year. And I think if you listen to the Elliot Friedman interview he did with Sportsnet, kind of left the door open in terms of like, it's not definitive, like this is the last ride or what have you. It's going to be the same thing. Like whatever happens in this year for the Bruins, I have to imagine that he's going to, keep his cards close to his chest and say, I'm going to sit down with the family and talk about it. I think it's going to be a case by case basis for him. And I think it does come down to, how viable is this team's chances of contention next year, how he feels spending time with his family, because it's not anything in terms of production on the ice. And I think we've always said, Bergeron was not going to be a guy that I think was going to play till he's 40 and transition into being like a defensive third line center or anything like that. That's not what he's going to be. But he's also not even like slipping into being like a very good 2C. He's playing like a guy in line for his 6th Selke trophy, 80 points. He's been just as good. I think it was Jay Fresh who does a lot of the, underlying metrics and kind of charts guys in their play year over year. Like Bergeron's numbers have gone up from last year. You could make the case that he had probably the best defensive season for a forward in almost 2 decades, if not longer. So it's one thing where it's all right. You're still playing at a high level. You still got it, but he's not even, he's not even plateauing in terms of being a elite number 1 center. He's playing even better, which is again a testament to his conditioning, toughness, his skill set, which has not eroded at all over these years. But yeah, when the time comes for him to sit down and kind of chart the next chapter for him, I don't think it's going to be his play on the ice that has any influence on it. Because if he wants to keep on playing, he can anchor this lineup for a long, long time.
And the Bruins will gladly have him back. I don't think that was never the case last year. So it's Thanksgiving, as you said, Connor. It is per source. This might come out this might either come out on Thanksgiving or the day after. I don't quite know yet. Which again, I'm thinking out loud on a decision I have to make that listeners don't really care about. But I don't know when this is coming out. Nonetheless, though, it's Thanksgiving season at least, right? Per source. And we always do this. We do, what we're thankful for, what Bruins fans should be thankful for. And we're going to go, 2 apiece. One. And I'll let you go first, Connor. What should Bruins fans be thankful for this year?
Yeah, I think it's an obvious one. I guess it's kind of a twofer in terms of what I'm talking about. But Bergeron and Krejci coming back. Like this team does not get off the ground. This narrative, this urgency is not there. And this team is certainly not 17-2-0 without those guys back. We've already talked at length about Bergeron, his play on the ice, but even beyond that, even if he was a guy that was taking a step back and was looking like more of a pretty good 1C, very good 2C, the way this team kind of galvanizes around him, rallies around him, and how much they play for him, it's something pretty special when you just look at how much, not influence, but like just how much of a role that he plays in that locker room and how much these guys want to play for him, and how cognizant they are of the fact that he may not have that any more kicks, at the can left in his Hall of Fame career. So having him back there has been huge for this team. And then again, David Krejci coming back, he had a little bit of that lull coming back from that upper body injury, but you're still seeing the same guy that just having his presence alone is what has stabilized this lineup, I think. It's, again, Eric Holla did a very solid job last year, but to have Krejci back there, to not have to worry about who's going to slot in where. Jim Montgomery has done a lot of shuffling throughout the lineup, but it's pretty easy to do that shuffling and feel confident in your team structure when you can still look at Bergeron, Krejci, Coyle, and kind of build all around that. And Krejci so far has been great in that regard. And something that Bergeron has even talked about quite a bit in terms of one of the things that led to him come back this year was talking to Krejci and viewing it as potentially one more run. So having those two guys back there, not just the influence of veteran leadership, but their play on the ice especially, I think Bruins fans have to be very thankful for them kind of being that spark, that conduit that started what has so far been a fantastic season for this team.
And Krejci had that slap shot goal in Tampa, the old school just clap bomb from the right side. I forget, and this is off of the David Krejci slap shot, but I forget who tweeted it, and I don't know where McAvoy was saying this, but McAvoy was on some podcast or he was doing some video, and he was talking about how, they realized when Krejci Bergeron came back, like these guys are leaving it all out there for this. Like this is their last shot at it. And it's like, I think the team, whatever Bergeron says, and he's obviously not going to say, hey, this is my last year. It doesn't matter what he says. I think the team thinks this probably is it for him and Krejci. And just hearing McAvoy kind of say those things, it's like, okay, like this is a large reason. Like that's a huge reason as to why this team is doing so well. It's like they're leaving it out there for, like, this is it for them too, in a sense, like just leaving it completely out there this year. And again, I don't think it's any coincidence that Marchand's back earlier. McAvoy was back earlier. I don't think it is. My thing Bruins fans should be thankful for is Jim Montgomery working out. I mean, again, he's just, he's the head coach. I think most fans were pretty pissed when Bruce Cassidy got fired. Obviously, Bruce is off in Vegas doing terrific things. That team is rolling. But at the same time, Montgomery's been here. It's been very good. It's been kind of a new look team offensively. They are scoring. I know there's a little bit of 5-on-5 scoring issues there for a little bit. Obviously, they had to come back down to earth, but they're still winning games in multiple ways. He's doing the right things, and it's worked out. And it's also been longer than I think, like, the new head coach vibe. Like, usually when there's a new head coach, that team does well for a short amount of time, but it's never more than like 8 or 9 or 10 games. This is a lot longer than that. So again, I think he's pushing the right buttons. I think they like him. I think that's the number one thing, whether you like it or not, or disagree with it or not. I think there were guys in that room who were not happy with Cassidy. I know some people are going to say, hey, you should be able to say what you want if you're the coach. Some people might disagree. Doesn't matter. The players, again, just some of them I think may have checked him out. And that also comes with being an NHL head coach. Like you have a very short shelf life. This is not college. This is not, high school or prep where coaches stay, some for, 10, 20, sometimes 25, 30 years. This is not that industry. So again, they have short shelf lives. There will be a time in the next 5, 6, however long, many years where it's going to be Montgomery out. And that's just how it works. But again, things are working real well for him now, and they look good under him. And it's going to be interesting to see how that team, and again, it's a long way away, but how that team looks with Montgomery as head coach in the playoffs, because it's an interesting thing. But I think that Bruins fans should definitely be thankful for Montgomery.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think for my other one, I'll focus on, there's a lot of people involved in a hockey team beyond the players and the coaches that I think play key roles in a team's success, whether it's the strength and conditioning, video coaches, everyone behind the scenes, the communications, all that.
Well, the Bruins just did a great story on Matt Myers.
Yes, exactly.
Video coach. Yeah. Terrific story done by Eric Russo over at their website. It was awesome.
Yes, I highly recommend if people are checking out on the Bruins website, read it. Again, tons of people that do a whole bunch of work behind the scenes. So I'll point out Scotty Waugh, who's the head of their rehab, and that his whole team in terms of the work I think they've done to get so many guys coming back from major injuries back up to speed, all ahead of schedule, all who don't look like they've been rushed back or they're risking further injury or anything like that. Of course, some of it's a testament to the players themselves in terms of working through kind of those peaks and valleys that come with rehabbing back from a major injury. But whatever Waugh and his team is doing, It's working out pretty well. I mean,
It works out well.
whether it's Martian coming back over a month beforehand, McAvoy coming back a few weeks. And again, Martian comes right back, has 3 points in his first game. McAvoy starts off a little slow, and I'll say that in terms of maybe not just the level of play that we've expected from him. And now he's got 6 assists in his last 2 games, playing 23 plus minutes again. And you go down the list, there's other guys who maybe didn't have long-term injuries, but are back in 2-3 games, right? Like Krejci misses some time, he's back. Taylor Hall was week to week, like the last week of the preseason, didn't miss a single game to start the year. DeBrusque got hurt his hand, and he's back. So
Corbett looks to be coming back soon.
Exactly, yeah. So it's one thing where this team's been playing at a high level, and it's impressive considering just the amount of injuries they've had, not just the guys we knew going into the year, but there's been plenty of times where things could have gone sideways for this team. And not to say that losing one guy like Krejci or DeBrusque or something was going to make this team fall into an 0-4-2 lull or anything like that, but those injuries that pop up over a year that are inevitable, although usually the things that lead to a 1-2-1 stretch or what have you. And so far that hasn't been the case. And I think a lot of it goes to, the people behind the scenes that get these guys ready, get them back out there over the grind of a long season.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't have a hockey team without the support staff. And obviously, as you said, they've been doing such a terrific job with just bringing guys back. I mean, the proof is literally like right there. This isn't like hard to figure out either. I mean, just how good they have been at bringing different guys back. I will say Bruins fans should be thankful for Nick Foligno. And again, we've said this multiple times at the start of the year. We've gladly eaten the crow when it comes to him. But I think when you look at even 4 months ago, went through waivers, all that stuff, fans had written him off. He makes too much money, this and that. Like, I forget who might have been Steve Conroy. I could honestly be imagining it, but I think he tweeted recently, like, Nick Foligno isn't just playing really well. He's making it worth his contract.
Yeah.
And he has. I mean, I know, again, like, it's still a fair amount of money for a fourth line player. But when you look at his net front presence on the power play, and you look at his leadership qualities, and you look at, through the Mitchell Miller stuff, and you also look at just his play on the ice, like, again, you can use him anywhere. And I think when they initially signed him, they wanted him to be able to slot up on that second line center role if they needed him to. Now, last year, again, he battled injuries and wasn't right the whole year. And he was never, ever a candidate for the second line. He was barely a candidate to be in the lineup. But again, he's proven everybody wrong. He has been outstanding to start this season. And he is someone that Bruins fans should be thankful for, because, again, he's an important guy. And I've said this before, like, when the playoffs come around and if the scoring dries up front, or, the top guys have a couple bad games, he's a guy you can rely on, just given his veteran presence, and he's been there before and succeeded. So for me, again, I'm very interested and intrigued by how he progresses throughout the year. He had the nice goal in Tampa the other night. He's been producing, but can he continue that? My guess is yes. But just how much, I'm curious what his point total at the end of the year is going to be, because I think it's going to surpass he's already surpassed all expectations.
He's on pace for 48 points right now, which is
like insane. And that's why, again, I think Bruins fans should also just be thankful for how well this team is playing, and how they feel like it feels like everybody is on all systems go. And everybody's kind of producing at, outstanding rates, which, again, leads to success usually. So I think for Bruins fans' sake, hopefully it continues. I would also like to say we are thankful for you listeners. We are very thankful to the listeners. I was wondering if you or I was going to bring this up first. Breaking news: Connor's not thankful for the listeners.
I'm not. Yeah,
Connor hates the
out
listeners.
Of the bag.
Yeah, Connor hates you guys. No, but for real, we're thankful to you guys. I mean, you make it fun, and Connor, I mean, you cover the team every day, and I know that you're extremely thankful to subscribers and to fans. Obviously, I would.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. No, it's we couldn't do this without your guys' support, your comments, your questions you send us, all that stuff. I mean, it's what I think we both agree makes this job so great. And wherever we kind of cover hockey is, the engagement we get, the passion and stuff like that. And again, it's what makes this job fun. It's not just the product on the ice or, the roles we have in terms of what we cover. It's usually the the people we meet along the way, whether it's through in person on Twitter, on YouTube, all that stuff. People on the street who tell us ad reads.
Oh yes,
there's like
on the
those
highway.
things. Exactly,
it's crazy.
Just cuts right in front of me, brakes right on 95. It's like very dangerous, but it's fine. But no, we couldn't do it without all you guys. So again, as echoing what Evan said, thank you guys for all your support.
Yeah, that awkward pause at the end there between me to you. I was going to say I would imagine, but I don't have to. I know you do, but I was just instinctively like, I would imagine.
Funny if I just was like, I have nothing else to say. No.
I'm good. You said it all, Evan. But no, seriously, I mean, it makes it fun. I mean, and that's, I think, the beauty of Bruins fans, but as I'm seeing, New England hockey fans and people in the New England hockey scene, in this great region, like it's a passionate bunch. And I think with the Bruins specifically, like, you guys care. And I think there are a lot of markets in this country, and in the NHL. In Canada, everybody cares, but I mean, there are markets that there isn't that level of engagement. And Bruins fans are up here, even when we are annoyed with you guys sometimes with certain takes on Twitter.
It's all out of love.
It's love. I mean, it's it's not serious. And we love you guys and the support, because I mean, I was thinking about this the other day, that Poke the Bear's been going since fall of 2020. And I've been hosting Bruins Beat since spring of 2019. So we've both been on quite the run here with this, and the show is growing. The numbers are terrific. They have, exponential growth. And so it's been awesome. And again, we can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys give us, and hope you guys all have a happy Thanksgiving. And if you're looking for a great holiday gift, what can people look forward to over at BSJ, Connor?
Yeah, we're going to have you guys covered every step of the way with game reports, columns, features, Q&As, all that stuff over at BSJ throughout this Bruins season. So definitely, please subscribe over at BostonSportsJournal.com. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at ConnorRyan_93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan, Evan Marinofsky. Poke the Bear listeners, have a great rest of your week.